Great. Well, good morning, everybody. It's lovely to see you. Sunday was International Yoga Day, which is obviously a big deal in the whole yoga world. And it was really lovely. I ran a program. Oh, please do keep yourself on mute. I ran a program with the College of Medicine where we looked at yoga's role in healing the wounds of trauma. And that was primarily led by one of the members of the Minded Institute team and a psychotherapist in the NHS, Cassandra Fairweather. Anyway, it was really lovely. She's asked me not to put it on YouTube, unfortunately, because I think it was very sacred in the time that we held that space. But anyway, it was lovely. And I also found out that yoga is practiced even in Antarctica, meaning that 7 continents, which I think is super awesome. Now, every week I tend to do something different based upon my lived experience, and my allergies have been so intense. And I know I'm not alone, but I'm quite susceptible. So I thought we would work on clearing the lungs a little bit and also then clear the mind and work with that lucidity through to another breathing practice, just coming back to Ujjayi and into the meditation. So before we begin the clearing, let's start with Ujjayi breathing. If you know how to do it, just go ahead. You can do it on the inhale and the exhale. And let's have the exhale double the length of the inhale, whatever it is. So you can count 2, 4, 3, 6, 4, 8, but probably not 5, 10, because that creates a different effect on the nervous system. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Ujjayi breath, while the others begin, right, with their eyes downcast and closed, and just doing that practice, I'm going to go over how you conduct Ujjayi breath. So it sounds like this, right? And for newbies, we're going to do it just on the exhale, like this. Just like that. So it's kind of like the ocean. And we make this sound often through our mouth, right? It's something that's familiar to us when we fog up a mirror. So if you're new, pick up your hand in front of you. Imagine it's a mirror. Inhale through your nose, gently and naturally, and exhale. Lovely. And again. We do that one more time. And then lower your hand down. And you try to make this noise through the throat. And one of the ways that I find is easiest is if you imagine you're breathing out of the throat rather than your nose. So you can take your index and middle finger at the center of the throat. Inhale naturally, and just imagine exhaling out of the throat. Just like that. Okay. And you can release the hand, and then you can close your eyes and just inhale naturally and exhale longer with this Ujjayi breath, right? Which translates into English as victorious breath. The idea is that every single time you focus your mind in this way, it's a little bit of a victory, right? And so you transcend normal thinking processes in service of your own development. And that is certainly victorious. So we're all going to do this for 3 more minutes, and then we're going to switch to Kapalabhati, which is very clearing for the lungs. If the mind goes away, just bringing it back to the breath over and over and over. Your Ujjayi breath. I know the mind thinks so many other things are important, and maybe they are, but truly nothing is more important in the long term than cultivating your lucidity and your sense of peace and calm. The mind is great at tricking us into thinking that the immediacy of the moment is equal to that. Okay. So you are free to continue with this breath if you would like. Or you can join me for Kapalabhati. Now, Kapalabhati is a lifting breath. It lifts the nervous system, so it increases sympathetic drive, right? The mobilization of energy. And if you feel right now that's not going to work for you, you don't need to do that. But otherwise, right? I don't know how well you can see my abdomen, but Kapalabhati looks like this. So it's a forced exhalation. And when we want to clear the lungs, because there are actually different ways we can practice it, we want it to come from quite low down and to be rather forceful, right? So we're going to work with clearing the lungs followed by clearing the mind. If you're new to it or you're not 100% sure, even though you're not new to it, place your hand around the abdomen. So starting at the base of the floating ribs with a thumb and then downward. And let's just have a quick pump, pressing the breath out from here. So that's what it's like. And then we do it in succession. So for those of you that have only tried maybe today, and that was your first pump, you're going to do it more slowly because it takes time for coordination. And for those of us familiar, we're going to do it a little bit more quickly. We're going to do 50 pumps if we're doing it a little bit more quickly following me. And if you are just learning, go at your own pace and do as many pumps as you do in the time before I say to take a pause. So let's all begin together. Good. And let's all inhale together. Exhale nice and long. Inhale. Exhale nice and long. One more inhale, and then we're going to begin 50 more pumps. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And last round. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to continue doing Ujjayi breath now for 5 minutes before we do the next type of breathing. So we want the brain to have a little time to reset because that's a powerful breath. The combined effects of bringing different breaths together can be potent for the nervous system. So to just keep everything calm and at ease, we're going to intersperse it with Ujjayi. And be interested maybe also in how this breath feels different than the one we started with. So has Kapalabhati impacted the way that Ujjayi feels? Do you have more flow in your breath because you've cleared out the lungs? Does it feel harder to breathe because you lifted the nervous system so it feels more labored? Just notice there isn't a right or wrong here. Just cultivate the awareness of how you experience this. I've taught so many different breath techniques, and in the end, you need to know what works for you uniquely. And you glean that information by being mindful of how the breath feels, not just doing it on automatic pilot, but sensing into how something is for you. Okay, so now we come on to the last new breath we're going to do in this session, which is Brahmari. And some of you have done it probably without me or with me. So it translates into English as hummingbee breath because that's what it sounds like. So it's like that. It's quite high pitched when done in the classical sense, but you don't need to hum at a high pitch, sometimes even like that, which can be intense. You can hum at a lower pitch, any pitch that feels comfortable to you. I quite like that one. That feels really nice in my body, or maybe even lower, right? One of the things about Zoom is nobody will hear you but yourself. You're only going to hear me. I'll do a lower pitch. And if you find it comes through your speaker in an uncomfortable way, you can mute me. I'll do this when we're done in case you're afraid you won't know, so that you can mute me and practice without hearing my humming if that's your preference. Now, there are different mudras or hand positions that go with this breath. So you might just wish to have your hands on your lap. You can also place your thumbs on the divot in your ears pressing in, because one of the things associated with this breath is a reduction of sensory input. So you're supposed to actually hear yourself make the sound from the inside rather than from the outside. And in its most traditional forms, you can do that like this, like that, if you'd like. You not only close off that way, but you put your index finger above your eye, then your middle finger below, then your ring finger below your nose, and then your pinky below your mouth like this. And you do it in this form. Please take whatever hand position works for you. I'm not going to do that, even though that's my favorite, because I want to be able to see if you're all okay. And you can take it down at any time. Let's begin together. So begin with me and then continue on your own. Don't wait for me. So you're just going with your own breath rate. Let's begin together. Inhale. Ideally, have your eyes closed. Okay. So we'll just return to the Ujjayi breath for 1 minute before going into the mindfulness meditation. Inhaling Exhaling long. And that breath helps clear the mind. That was one of its original purposes in the yogic text. And it's something as well that I constantly hear reported when people are practicing it. And let go of this Ujjayi breath. And just sit with your natural breath now. Feel the inhale coming into the nose and exiting. For me right now, it feels like my whole being is breathing. If it feels like that for you, you can just be conscious of the entirety of the breathing experience in your body. If your awareness feels more subtle, you can just direct it to the airflow in and out of the nostrils. And every time the mind goes away, just bring it back. And see if, as the mind interrupts your awareness of the breathing as happens, you can just tell your mind, there is not lucidity in chatter. I'm going to come back to the breath. I'm going to be with the knowing part of myself that is more than chatter. Thank you for what you have to say, mind, but I'm coming back to the breath. Keep bringing the mind back. Just this. Just breath. There can be clarity there. It's a place beyond complication. Just an in and an out. providing you with life force moment by moment by moment, your entire existence. And now tell yourself that the formal guided practice will end. You're free to continue. I'm going to take questions or comments in a moment. And for those of you that want to engage in that, you can flutter your eyes open. If you're not interested, you have to go, you can log off. But before you do, I just want to say one thing, which is that I've been doing these sessions for quite a while. And actually, I've been teaching or working every day of lockdown minus one day, weekends included. So next week, I am not going to be doing this. I'm taking a break. I'm taking a holiday. And I'm not sure how long that's going to be because I do feel quite tired and I need to restore myself so that I have the energy to keep giving, both to myself and to you. But look on the website. I will be doing it again, but I don't want to give a definitive because I'm not sure right now. I have to sense into what it feels like after I have a bit of a break, like how long that needs to be. Today, Sylvia Laurenti, who's our amazing anatomy lecturer, is doing an introduction to yoga therapy for lower back pain, something she specializes in, not as just a yoga teacher, but as a physio in the NHS. And we have a few more things coming up the next 2 weeks, and the Minded is going to wrap up its operations for the summer and start again in September because all of us take a break around the August period, right? So there's things going into mid-July. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And with all of that said, please, if there are any questions or comments, go ahead and raise the Zoom hand. If you can't use it, don't worry, you can unmute yourself. And if there are none, that's okay too. You can just write to each other. Oh, thank you, everyone. Dawn, go ahead. Dawn Williams, do you want to unmute yourself?
I am unmuted now, yes. Thank you, Heather, so much for all the breathing practices that you've done since lockdown. It's really helped me. And I had COVID, so I've had lots of breathing problems. So it's been a real lifesaver. But also the courses you've put on, they've been so helpful. So I just want to say thank you very, very much.
Thank you. That's really, really kind. And I'm happy that you're on the mend from COVID. Yeah. Thank God for that. Thanks, Dawn. Yeah. So next we have Mary Rose, and then it looks like Abby, you unmuted yourself so that you can go after Mary Rose.
Good morning, Heather. And
hi.
Oh, a really big thank you for these breathing sessions through the whole lockdown. And no, it's been, you know, they have been a lifesaver in a lot of ways, and your time and energy. So just a big heart thanks from me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mary Rose. And I think you're going to be next week on Breath, Body, Mind as well. Yeah?
Yeah, I am going to be. Could I ask one little technical question on the Ujjayi breath?
Sure.
Practicing it for a long time, and it's quite tight in the throat. Any recommendations?
Is it strong or is the breath light?
It's strong, and I've made it lighter over the times. You know, when you've said silky and get silky, but I still feel a little bumpy in the throat.
Okay, so there are two things that I can suggest. One is, doing some singing. And the other, I did this one time, I think during the lockdown, which really helps to loosen the throat muscles. It's an exercise from singing, which is, I can't do it right now without warming up, but you do like this. And that really opens the throat. Singers do it before they perform.
So singing exercises just to open
Yeah,
it up.
yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Have a brilliant rest
Thank you
and
so much. Thank you, Mary
yeah.
Rose. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Helen, and then Carol. I guess Abby didn't actually have a question.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to add my thanks and enjoy your rest. And I think the most powerful thing you said to me today was about the mind, actually. And you said, thank you for what you're saying, but I'm coming back to the breath. And for some reason, I found that really powerful today. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy that it touched you and that you can use that in your practice. My pleasure, Helen. It's so lovely to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your rest.
Thank you so much. So Carol Bell and then Susan.
Thank you for the practice and enjoy your rest. I wanted to ask you a question, and it's, are your courses next year going to be the ones that are held in London? Are they going to be run online? There's one introduction for healthcare professionals.
You mean the for psychological therapist one?
Yes. Yes.
I think so. I mean, it's very hard to see because the government guidance keeps changing. I am not too keen to come back in September, even though, you know, it's allowed because nothing has changed. But Sam Buttrell, who I run that with, is on the other side of the fence for that. She actually wants that course run in person. So we're figuring it out, and I don't know. All I can say is we'll definitely run it. I just don't know if it will be online or in person right now. There's a lot we're going to have to figure out as a company. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Susan?
Hi, Heather. Thank you very much for these sessions. They're really enjoyable. And I wanted to ask you, you mentioned for the Ujjayi breathing that it wasn't good to do a count of 5, 10. Could you explain? You said it was a different effect.
Oh, not that it's not good. It's not bad in any way. It just, when you reduce your breath rate to less than 5 breaths a minute to 4, you have the potential, especially those who've been practicing a lot, to enter kind of like a trance-like state. And I wanted you to be more present with me rather than have that. So there's nothing wrong with it. But when you reduce the breath rate, 6, 12, 5, 10, so on and so forth. So you're going between 4, 3, sometimes for people that can, even 2 breaths per minute. The effect on your nervous system, your cardiovascular respiratory system, just, it's different. And when you go very low, by the way, you have the potential to actually elevate the heart rate unless you've been training yourself over many years to that low level, because the blood pressure goes down so much that your body's like, oh, what's happening? Better elevate the blood pressure. So I just wanted to keep us in the same basic mental state, even though our minds are all doing different things. That was why.
Okay, thank you. And can I ask one other question? With Kapalabhati, you say that it lifts the vibration of the nervous system. Is that affecting the parasympathetic or the sympathetic nervous system, or both? Or
I didn't say it lifts the vibration. I said it lifts the sympathetic nervous system. No, I don't. I didn't use because that kind of overlays more energetic language on scientific. So it's definitely working by elevating the sympathetic nervous system, not the vibration.
Thank you. Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you. Anyone else before I head out? I'm teaching the Yoga for Health program today. I don't know if some of you have done it, like Beverly, who I see on the screen. Yeah, so that's going on today as well. And Liz. Hi, Liz. I can't see everyone on the screen because there's so many people that I have to go screen to screen. But I wish you all a fantastic week ahead. I'm not disappearing. And for those of you like Malcolm, who you just did the session with me for the first time today, you can go onto YouTube because I've done so many. And there was a period in lockdown I was doing it like every other day. So there are so many sessions you can watch at 8 a.m. And I will be back when I have a bit of a rest. Yeah. So if there are no further questions, I will love you and leave you. Wish you to take good care of your bodies, your minds, and your hearts. And I'll see you soon. Namaste.
Lots of
Lots of love to you too, Mary Rose. Bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye.